Hi, so this video is doing a little bit of double duty as it is a bonus lesson for the CpExtra up and running course, as well as being a public video to show everyone a brand new feature inside of CpExtra 1.3. Now, if you are looking at this as part of the up and running course, you would have just seen a video about @syntax and how @syntax can be used to hide, show, or change the mouse cursor of multiple objects inside of Captivate all at once. Now, @syntax is a great feature, but there are some times where it just doesn't cut the mustard. And let's have a look at an example of one here. So here I have a project that is inspired by an issue that was actually sent in to me by Mr. Michael Stevens. Michael Stevens is a power user of CpExtra, and if you would like to hear more about how he uses CpExtra in his workflow, click on my hand here to see his testimony video. But anyway, back to this project. What's going on here? Well, this is just a very basic project. It's got 3 slides or so at the moment. The first slide is just a welcome to the course slide with a nice big image showing that people who watch this course are happy. Then the next slide, you've got to put in your details such as your name, ID, class, teacher. Next slide is an example of a quiz slide or something or rather like that. Now, what Michael Stevens had done in his course, which I am replicating here, is that he had a help button, which when you clicked on this, it showed a bit of a help dialog coming up here. This is the help dialog that I've created. This is just an image, but if I was using this as in an actual course, I would probably set up some neat navigation or stuff like that here. So that's an image in the background, but then I have a button here, which is just going to hide this dialog. So this dialog is all a group. So it's a very simple action. Just show this group, then hide this group, and that's all it's done. And this is available on every slide of the movie because the group and this button have been set to display for rest of project. Now this, as it stands at the moment, works just fine. If I show you a published output of the movie, and we can see we're there on that first slide, if I click the help button, that help dialog appears, and when I click its close button, it disappears. I can click it and just close it as many times as I like. Where we get into a bit of trouble is if I move further along in the movie to this slide where I have all these text entry boxes. Because now when I click on this help button, although everything else on the slide appears behind of this dialog, which is set to display for rest of project, these text entry boxes do not, because that's just the way Captivate does things. Text entry boxes always appear on top of everything else. So to fix this, what Michael did is he used @syntax in order to hide these text entry boxes. Let's see how he did that. I'm going to go back to Captivate here, and I'm going to scroll down here. First of all, I'll just hide this help dialog so we can see what's going on behind it. Down here, I have the help button. I'm going to select that. I'll jump to the properties panel, and then I'll go to actions. And when we click on this, it's executing this script here, show help. Now, at the moment, this script is only doing one thing, which is showing this help dialog here, which appears. You see, I click on help and that dialog appears. But we need to do a little bit more. We need to make it, when it shows this dialog, also hide those text entry boxes. And then when we click on the close button for the dialog box, we need to show those text entry boxes again so that they can be interacted with. So let's just set up this show help dialog action first. I'm going to add a new statement. I'm going to make it an assign statement. And because I want to hide something, I'm going to choose the xcmnd hide command variable. If you don't know anything about command variables, then I suggest you check out the CpExtra up and running course, unless you're already watching the CpExtra up and running course, which you should be fairly familiar with this already. I'm going to assign it with a literal, and I could assign it with a slide object name, but in this case, I'm going to assign it with an @syntax query so that I can hide multiple objects. I'm going to hide anything with field on the end of its name. So this query here @_field will select anything that's got field at the end of its name. So if I update this action, close out of it, then jump back over here, you can see each of these text entry boxes here has got field on the end of their name. So that's working pretty good. When the this dialog appears, let me just show it. When this dialog appears, those text entry boxes will disappear. And now if I click on this button over here and go into its action, this is the one that hides the dialog. At this point, we need those text entry boxes to show again. So I'm now going to assign xcmnd show with the same thing @_field. Okay, well, that should work for us, right? There shouldn't be any problems. Well, let's have a look at the export. I'm going to update the action, click OK, close down, and then I'll go to preview HTML5 in browser, and then we'll have a look at the result. So here I am in the export again. I'm going to jump to the next slide, and I'm going to click on the help button. And you can see as those text entry boxes have not appeared in front of the dialog, they have successfully been hidden. And when I close down the dialog, they are shown again. Okay, well, that seems to work just fine, right? Even if I move to the next slide and where there's another text entry box, I click on this, well, you can see that that text entry box is hidden as well. And if I close it down, it's shown again. No problem, right? Well, here's where the problem can occur. Say I click here to open the help dialog, but now I go down here and jump to the previous slide. You can see that those text entry boxes appear above it. Why? Well, that's because the @syntax only hid the text entry boxes on the slide it was currently on. It did not check the rest of the project for any other text entry boxes. And this gets even worse because now when I click close to this and then jump to the next slide, you can see that, well, that text entry box was not shown again because, well, the show action was done over here. So how can we fix this problem? Well, this problem can be fixed by using a different kind of @syntax, a kind of @syntax which is not just limited to the current slide. It will go and find all the objects in the entire course and then perform the action on those objects if they match that particular name. This type of @syntax is called hashSyntax because that's how we tell the difference between the two. Let me show you how it's done. It's really simple. If you know how to use @syntax, hashSyntax is pretty much exactly the same. First, I'm going to go here, select the close button, go to actions, hide help. And here, just instead of saying xcmnd show @_field, instead I'm going to use xcmnd show with #_field. And now, because we've used that different character, CpExtra knows it has to check the entire movie, not just the current slide. So I will save that, update that action. And now I will just jump to that other advanced action here. And I'm going to exchange that with #_field. Update that action. And then once again, I'm going to go to preview HTML5 in browser and then have a look at the result and see whether hashSyntax has indeed been able to move across the entire project. Once again, I'm going to jump to that second slide. I'm going to click on the help button and we can see that it is hidden those text entry boxes on this slide. Now I'm going to jump to the next slide and we can see no text entry boxes appear on top of that. Then I'll jump back, still working. Now I'm going to close down the dialog. Those text entry boxes have been shown again, as well as this one. So the advantage of this particular approach is because, well, consider what would happen if we were just using the traditional method of just inside those hide and show actions, putting in a list of text entry boxes which we want to hide or show. Every single time we add a text entry box to our movie, we are going to go and have to edit those two actions, as opposed to this method, where if I go back to Captivate, scroll down here, find I've got another slide here, and I can't see it because that shown for rest of projects dialog is appearing on top of it. I'll just go back here and hide that. But now back here to this slide, we can see that I have another text entry box on top of here. And all I have to do in order to get it to work with our already established advanced actions is just go here and change its name to have field at the end of its name. And it's just that simple and that quick. hashSyntax is very powerful. So let's review. What is the difference between @syntax and hashSyntax? @syntax only affects the current slide. @syntax is only for where you are at. hashSyntax, on the other hand, affects the entire project. And anywhere you can use @syntax, you can also use hashSyntax. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about hashSyntax, you can check out the CpExtra Quick Start course, where I show you how to use hashSyntax in order to set up your own grammar for your course to give certain objects special abilities, which is really quite neat. But next week, I'm also going to be releasing another video lesson, which is going to show you a new feature of CpExtra 1.3, which I have secretly also used in this lesson, because if you look here at all the slides in this project, you'll notice there is no CpExtra widget. How was I able to use CpExtra's functions without adding the CpExtra widget? Well, everyone, you will find out next week.